For this afternoon and tonight, a significant winter storm, including heavy snow with limited freezing.
Hello, and welcome to the Snow Brains podcast, where it's my job to interview the most intelligent people in the snow sports industry and pass their fascinating knowledge onto you, our listeners. I'm your host, Miles Clark. I'm a professional free skier, a professional mountain guide, a UC Berkeley molecular cell biology graduate, the founder and CEO of Snow Brains, and I once caught dengue fever on a surf trip in Indonesia. Dengue can cause bleeding from the eyes, but at least I didn't get that part. The Snow Brains podcast is brought to you by Alta Ski Area, home of the deepest average annual snowfall in the Rocky Mountains. My guest today is Marc Riddell, Communications Manager for Whistler Blackcomb, the largest ski resort in North America. Hello, Marc. How are you? Welcome to the show. Where are you today?
Thanks, Miles. I'm actually sitting in my bedroom here in Pemberton, BC. You know, it's space is at a premium this time. Everybody's working from home, and so you try to find a quiet space, and here we are.
Yeah, no, get away from the kids, the dogs, everything. So I appreciate your time today. So I'm going to get right out. I'm going to come right out with it, you know, before it gets weird. Which mountain is best, Whistler or Blackcomb?
Okay, you're really going to put me on the spot here because that gets people in trouble. You know, certainly that is the biggest question that anybody who lives in Whistler or in the area kind of grapples with. I've volunteer patrolled on Blackcomb as well as I work at the base of Blackcomb. And so when I think of Blackcomb, I really kind of associate it with work. Oftentimes when I'm out there, it's like, this feels like a job, you know, like I don't want to be on Blackcomb.
Yeah, I understand that work association. I used to work in a nightclub, and still when I hear salsa music, it makes me feel like I'm at work. Anyway, but I do like salsa. But so what makes Whistler Blackcomb unique? What makes Whistler Blackcomb great?
It's a unique space. It's a place where I get the big mountains, but I'm able to stay close to the coast. People here are fairly genuine. Everybody is out. It's an outside culture. You got to be outdoors or you're not making it. But the most important thing about here is that people fight to be here. I mean, it's not an easy place to make a living in these mountain towns. And certainly the people that are here, the core group, the real community, we believe in each other. We support each other. You know, sometimes we take the piss out of each other. But at the same time, it's just a great environment. It's a great environment to raise a family. And, you're really connected to the community. So for me, that's the most important part. It's like this deep connection to the community.
Yeah, and you probably know the American sentiment in general with Canadians is that you guys are pretty great and just easy to be around and fun and nice. And I do agree with you that the ocean against the mountains it's too much. It's every time I drive down that sea to sky, it blows my mind.
Yeah, well, we're not all sunshine and lollipops.
No, there's plenty of rough weather up there, that's for sure. So you were once a medic for the bobsled run in Whistler. And you mentioned earlier that you saw, as a medic, you saw a lot of burns. Tell me a little, that doesn't even make sense to me.
What I learned as a medic there is that I was expecting crazy crashes and carnage and all that sort of stuff. The biggest thing is that these guys got burned. People who come to bobsledding, they often come to it late in their careers. And they're all also very successful athletes in other sports. So probably they're either track athletes or NCAA football folks. And so the inclination when they started bobsled was if things are going sideways, the guys would jump out the back. The ones that were less experienced, they would be like, screw this, I'm not going to be in a crash. I'm out of here. Only to realize that it's essentially like sliding on pavement. So you'd often have to treat these burn injuries that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see with a snow sport.
Sliding so fast, they're getting burned by ice. Unreal.
I've done it myself. It's like being flushed down a toilet.
The burns, though, that's just crazy. So I want to start off with the staggering numbers of Whistler Blackcomb, especially for our listeners that have never been there. The numbers are just nuts. You know, it's just to give people some background here. So Whistler's the largest ski resort in North America. They have 5,280 vertical feet of skiing and riding, 8,171 acres of skiable terrain. They get 467 inches of average annual snowfall.
What's that in centimeters?
Oh gosh, don't even try. Over 1,000, I think.
You're right, 1170. That's good.
All right. 467 inches of average annual snowfall. They have 36 lifts. Their hourly capacity is 70,000 people per hour. 8 terrain parks, 18 mountain restaurants. They even have glacier skiing in the summer in June and July on Blackcomb Mountain. So kind of open up here with, you operate the largest ski resort in North America, and the U.S.-Canadian border will most likely be closed all winter due to the coronavirus pandemic. Mm-hmm. What does that mean for the skiing and riding at Whistler Blackcomb this season?
Well, it's a good thing if you're a local, but those are things that we can't control. It's the border closure is something that keeps getting extended on a monthly basis by the Canadian government and the Department of Homeland Services. And so we just got to be able to control what we can control. And that is offer the best experience that we possibly can, to lean heavily into the safety aspect of it. It's certainly going to be different than we're used to. It's not going to have the volume of guests that we traditionally have, because that market just is hindered with the barriers that are in place because of the pandemic.
And are you going to still have all the lifts and everything open that you would normally have open?
Yeah, that's our intention. Obviously, we have weather variability, and you do what you can, and you're mitigating the challenges that present. But of course, our goal is to open, and we need to stay open for the people that work here, and certainly for the communities that rely on the business that's brought in here. And so our success this year will be measured in managing through the duration of the season and making sure that we're doing everything possible to say that we are opening on November 26th, and we're going to finish the season sometime in May.
Fantastic. What are you most excited about this season?
I'm just looking forward to getting out in the mountain, getting out skiing. We made kind of the bold move to close our resorts long before anybody required us to do. Everybody was kind of shocked. It was an abrupt ending to a season that, frankly, was picking up steam. And where we normally have this great times, enjoying the spring season and the sun and everything that brings, that was taken away. We had the expectation that we'd reopen sometime in May, and this is not going to have the impact that everybody thinks it does. Well, fast forward to now, and as we got through what was a different summer season for us up here, we're back in this promise of opening day, and this sort of potential to have at least one thing in our lives that we're used to doing come back to normal. Because as soon as you get out in the mountain, regardless of the safety protocols that we put in place, you're still sliding and you're still going down, and the same feelings are still involved in that experience. And so that's what I'm most looking forward to.
I'm really excited for you guys, because British Columbia has captured a big piece of my heart. I spent a lot of time up there, especially early season, and you guys having it to yourselves, it's going to be amazing. Let's get into some details about the upcoming season just before jumping back into some fun stuff. When do you open for the upcoming ski season?
So officially we open on November 26th. Generally we open one mountain first. Usually it's Whistler. We often open in advance if we have the snow. Those are some of the things we consider. I don't know how much we're going to do that this year, just given all the protocols that we have to put in place. But yeah, November 26th, it's coming. There's snow up there right now. It snowed last week, and that gets everybody excited.
Definitely. I saw some videos of people skiing in the area. Will Whistler have skier, snowboarder capacity limits this winter? And if so, how does that work?
We are the largest ski area in North America, and so our capacity might be different than most.
You got some space.
We've got some space to spread out, that's for sure. And so, we're pretty confident that for most of the season, we won't have to implement any restrictions in that respect. What you may see is we may stop selling day tickets on a high volume day, that those may not be available for purchase. But for the most part, we feel strongly that the folks are going to get their reservation days without us having to implement those capacity limits. And hey, if the reservation system, if we find ourselves in a different environment or a different place, we may end up leaving the reservation system altogether and getting back to what we would normally do in the ski season.
I think maintaining flexibility and moving with how things happen is going to be the move this year.
Yeah.
Will restaurants be open? And what's your strategy for managing indoor spaces like restaurants and lodges?
Like other businesses, we are giving the same consideration. So you're going to see plexiglass. We'll probably manage volume as you're going into those restaurants. We haven't fully baked that out, how we're going to manage that yet, and we're working towards how we do that. Our intention, obviously, is, we understand, especially here at Whistler, sometimes, the weather rolls in, you need to get out of the cold, or you need to grab a snack and do that. So, our F&B team is working hard to figure out how that's going to work. But we're also encouraging people that, this is a different experience, and we would encourage people to bring their own food as well, just to offset some of that stuff. It's not going to be like a spontaneous pop-in where I can just pop in and grab something and go. And even the food that we're going to do, here's the burger, here's the packaged burger, here's a slice of pizza, like that kind of throwback to the late 80s, early 90s. And that's what the high bar for cuisine on Mountain was, and so you're not going to see a lot of ramen bowls on Whistler this year.
Yeah, I think it's food you can eat standing up without utensils.
Yeah. So, and the key part about that is that everything is going to be packaged, right? So it's not like it's not going to sit out. Where even the hot food will be packaged. So if you grab a slice of pizza, it's going to be in a small box, and we're going to go from there. So.
What's going to happen to the Whistler party scene?
WB doesn't really have any say outside of the few restaurants we own, which in après spots like the GLC and Merlin's. We're not going to stay open much past 5:00. So I can't speak for the rest of the town, but for the things that we can control, yes, there's going to be après, but it's going to be après light, and there's going to be requirements like any restaurants. And safety protocols that you're going to need to follow to be able to come and enjoy those places.
Yeah, I've been thinking about what will the Australians do without their Whistler Party Village, or Wistralia, as we call it.
Yeah, Whistler, as we say.
Yeah, or they might not even be there this year because of visa situations. Actually, I can jump right into that.
Sure.
There's visa, obviously issues. There's border closures. You guys rely on foreign labor quite a bit.
Yeah.
What's your plan there? Is that going to affect you guys this year?
It's twofold. So, oftentimes we get a lot of foreign labor that stay longer than 1 year. Like I said, Whistler's infectious, and it can get into your bones a little bit. So we still do have a high number of international staff that will be working for us. Yeah, it'll be a little bit different in that, this year we won't have like a newbie Australian that's fresh from Melbourne, that's here for a winter season. That's unlikely due to some of the restrictions. But for the most part, our HR is pacing, on par with what the business needs to operate, which is a good thing. So we're not really finding that's a challenge. Now, I can't speak for other resorts in BC, but certainly our experience has been a little bit different than that.
Definitely. And my last sort of protocol question is, will cash be accepted?
All of our purchases are cashless. So you'll have to use a credit card or a debit card if you're Canadian to purchase your products from us.
What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for Whistler this coronavirus winter?
Well, I mean, it's making sure that the way we start the season is going to be the way that we end the season. That we don't become complacent throughout the season, that we abandon stuff or just complacently be lackadaisical about enforcing things. And so I think that's going to be our biggest challenge this year, is that we not only want to start strong, but we want to end strong. And we want to sort of create this peace of mind for people that are going to come to WB, that they know that there's going to be a consistency of service, a consistency of safety that they're going to see throughout the year. And that we're not going to back away from that. And so, for us, it's going to be key to what we do this year.
Do you think Whistler Blackcomb being a large ski area is an advantage or disadvantage this winter with coronavirus restrictions in place?
Well, it's certainly at an advantage being the largest ski resort in North America, because we can really spread out folks. The disadvantages, of course, will be we don't know what the early season is going to bring us and whether or not we're going to open on limited terrain. You never know how the weather systems are going to roll in and what impact operationally that's going to have on avalanche control and opening up terrain in a timely manner. I mean, those are challenges that we face on a regular basis. But at the same time, we do have the space. And so on a Bluebird day, you can always find a place where you're by yourself, right? A place away from the crowds. And certainly you're going to be able to do that this year.
I wish I was Canadian, man. It's going to be a good year at Whistler. Whistler has some of the best terrain parks in the world, visited by some of the best athletes in the world. It's phenomenal to go there. And one size, not one size fits all. They have different parks for everybody. So many terrain parks. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your plan? Is that going to be affected by the coronavirus this year?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're looking at first of all, it's what do we need here, and in terms of like, what do we offer the guests? What are we able to offer the national teams and professional athletes that are able to hear? How do we best manage it with the staff that we have? Given that this year, because the business is smaller, we'll probably have fewer staff than what we would normally have. And so those are all the things that the operational teams are looking at right now. I mean, obviously, we are known for progression and innovation, and the park is a key component of that. And so everybody's pretty vested in making sure that we deliver on what people are used to. But at the same time, like a lot of those national teams and a lot of those professional athletes, like they're going through the same protocols and the same stuff with their own teams. So they understand, what we are doing as a resort. And again, as I said to you at the very beginning, the goal is to open. So once we finally baked out our plan, we need folks to keep that in mind, that we want a ski season that starts and ends when it's supposed to.
So in that same vein of terrain parks, the summer skiing at Whistler, I am very confident saying changed skiing and snowboarding forever, especially with the Canadian Air Force, back in the day with the people, the things they did there, and Level 1 filming their first movies there. It was groundbreaking. And sadly, the legendary Horstman T-bar was removed last summer due to the melting of the Horstman Glacier on Blackcomb.
Yeah.
Does Whistler Blackcomb attribute this to climate change?
Yeah, well, Miles, I'm not a scientist like yourself.
Sort of.
but hey, look, what I can tell you is that, hey, climate change is real, and WB has been proactive, for decades to prepare for it. Certainly. Horstman T-bar, yeah, it's an iconic lift. We hadn't used it for 3 years, but it certainly had to do with a change in the profile of the glacier. And what we do know is that glaciers around British Columbia and around the world are receding. And so, we're not immune, and we didn't expect to be immune. It was unfortunate that we couldn't offer the summer programs this year. That was a result of COVID. And our complete intention is to get back to summer ops again next year, right? And everybody wants that. We've got camps that rely on us and other businesses that rely on us to do that. And so we're going to try to push that forward. So, it is definitely something that has changed. The Horstman Glacier has changed. That it is what it is. But at the same time, we're doing our best as a company that operates in the outside, and we'd be naive not to want to do something about it. And so, Vail Resorts has been really proactive with it. And, in terms of taking a page from Whistler Blackcomb and some of the things that we implemented here as a resort prior to joining Vail Resorts, they've really put it on a company-wide perspective. So we call it our commitment to zero. And that really has an impact because it's across all 37 resorts. So where WB in the old days used to be like, oh, we're doing this, this, and this, and everybody's like, great. It's like a droplet in the broader bucket. So we can be an industry leader and push the environment. And we've done stuff like we are committing to zero net waste. We're committed to zero emissions, and our goal is to have zero footprint by 2030. That's the key component. And we'll have more to announce in the next couple of weeks where we are on some of those initiatives. This year, we just put the Plum Creek, wind farm in Fort Wayne, Nebraska. We purchased 310 megawatt hours to address about 90% of the electricity that our resorts use. So we're looking at ways to make a meaningful impact. I mean, obviously, we're doing that offset because we can't do it in the resorts that we like in the geography that we operate, but we can certainly give back to the grid the energy that we take out of it.
That's fantastic, and we're really excited about the zero footprint by 2030. That's phenomenal. We really like that goal. Yeah. So moving forward though, and you addressed it, but I'll just reiterate, you plan on continuing to operate on the Horstman Glacier in the summertime. And how do you see the future of summer skiing and riding at Blackcomb?
Well, I mean, look, it's a unique offering, right? It's
amazing.
These camps have been around and it's not just, the way that we've progressed the sport or the innovators that have come and worked on there. But it's a key cultural component for us. I remember coming out here as a kid and I was sailing in English Bay in the morning and then whipping up to Whistler to ski for a couple hours in the early afternoon. And that was just like an experience that like you never have. And so it's key to us. Will it continue on the Horstman Glacier? It could, but we're also looking at other opportunities of where we can go. So, not a lot of people know, for example, when we close Whistler, we would often open that up to some of the national teams to do some training. So, hey, in the future, you might actually see some skiing on Whistler.
Yeah, I got to jump on that. So Whistler, where might be other locations for summer skiing?
We're always looking at ways we can offer more. So, we like last summer or 2 summers ago, we introduced the Sky Bridge, which is a suspension bridge from up at Whistler Peak there as a way to do it. We're always looking at ways to improve our sightseeing offering. We offer summer skiing. We're always looking at ways that we can expand that or make it different or bring that more to the masses. So I'm not going to commit to anything just yet, but let's just say we have possibility. And those are some of the things that we certainly talk about from a resort level as to how can we constantly change the game. We certainly did that with mountain biking and gravity mountain biking with the way we developed our bike park. And, core to us here is skiing. And so we're going to look at ways that we can improve.
Well, I can assure you that our listeners will be excited to hear that there are other options for summer skiing because that hadn't even crossed my mind. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, we're a long way off though. Let me caveat that and just to say that, these are the things that we're talking about, but we don't have an action plan yet.
Just that you're talking about it is exciting. That's fantastic. Yeah. So thank you for that. What's new at Whistler this season outside of coronavirus modifications?
Coronavirus modifications are what's new, unfortunately. So, we had hoped, we had a bunch of capital projects that we had hoped to unveil this year and expanded dining options, all that sort of stuff. But, obviously we have to refocus. And so, again, for us, I can't stress it enough, is the bar of success will be opening and staying open. So that's what we're focused on primarily for this year.
This season will be a really unique season due to the coronavirus pandemic. And I'm finding these crazy, exciting, fun, sneaky silver linings all the time. Even this summer for myself. And I think a lot of other people are too. What do you think will be the silver lining of this coming coronavirus ski season?
Oh, that's a really good question. I guess the silver lining is, people are going through a tough time. And I don't think that we've fully seen the impact of the mental health implications that, these restrictions have had on people. And certainly, just that while we keep talking about getting closer to a vaccine or seeing our way through it, we're still in the middle of it and we're still in the weeds of it. And so I think, again, it's just getting out, standing above the line that you want to ski, taking a deep breath and letting her loose. I mean, that's going to be key. That's what I'm looking forward to doing. And I think most people are looking for that touchstone. So, hopefully we'll deliver it.
I agree. I think getting out there and skiing and riding is really going to bring a lot of peace to a lot of people. And that, I think, is going to be a profound message and feeling that hopefully is able to just propagate across the whole of North America.
Yeah, agreed.
And how excited are you guys at Whistler Blackcomb to just be operating again this season after shutting down so early last year in March?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just us. All of Vail Resorts North American properties, we all shut down. And so we all went through various levels of, what does this mean? We got to get summer open. This is different. It was like, whoa, now we're stepping back. Now we need to take a breath. We need to be present, right? And deal with what is in the here and the now, and not think about where we're going to get to, right? Or how we're going to grow, or what innovative thing that we're going to do. So our key focus this year is presence. Be in the moment. Get open. Have everybody just get back in play and get people back to what their routines are. And, that I think for the most part is what our resort is looking at doing. It's just, people are so excited to welcome people back. I'm so excited to get those lifts spinning again and get back to doing what we do. And that's what we're geared towards.
Yeah, I think all of us as skiers and riders and snow sports people, I think everybody's so excited to get back to what, we more or less consider normal, to actually getting out there and just enjoying the snow, enjoying the mountains, enjoying the wilderness.
Yeah. And I mean, it's actually, I mean, it's been an intellectual exercise. Well, how do we do it? Right? Like, how are we going to get people back? Like, how's our F&B operations? So it's really engaging stuff, and we're trying to think through things. And hey, the one thing about Whistler Blackcomb is it's full of really talented people, all with unique stories that bring unique perspectives to the operation of the business. And that really has kind of come forward today, right? And it's like, what if we do this? What if we do this? Could we potentially do this and see how it goes? And so that fire is there, and certainly people are very excited to get back to it. But yeah, it's been great. And the other difference is that, our enthusiasm and our expertise, we've been able to bring that across the Vail Resorts network. And so our people are actively involved in talking about what the experience is going to be like at our other resorts in the States. And so it's different, right? But yeah, I mean, the plus side has been very engaging as to how we tackle it, because it's the problems and the things are so complex, right? And we just, there are things that we can't control. We can't control state or provincial regulations, right? We can't control how each jurisdiction is going to approach how they deal with the virus. And we have to operate within that, as well as our own company policies as to how do we implement those and go. And, the Vail Resorts model is like, we've gone further than a lot of other folks, from the get-go, just even from when we closed those resorts way back, it was March 17th, and everybody was shocked that we would do that move. And it turned out to be the right move. So yeah, it's a long, I guess that's a long rambling answer to us. Actually, we've been kind of invigorated by trying to figure it out.
I agree. I think that the intellectual challenge of it is really exciting, and keeping the fire stoked is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all I've really got for you today, Marc. Do you have anything else you'd like to add here at the end of the show?
Be kind, be calm, and we're going to ask this one, which is be patient, right? Be patient with us. We're doing our best to get by. It's not the same experience. This is not the same environment that we're operating in. Get your reservation when you can. We're opening that reservation system on November 6th. You don't need to rush on there to book your priority reservations right off the bat. You do have a month to get what you need for the year. We're going to do our best to take care of it. So be kind, be calm, and be patient.
Fantastic words of advice. Thanks a ton for your time.
Rip.
Yeah. Be kind, be calm, be patient, and let her rip. I like that. That's a great ending to it. So thanks a ton for your time today, Marc. This was really fun. I greatly appreciate you. Have a great day, and let's talk soon.
Yeah, great. Miles, thanks so much for that. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for listening to the Snow Brains podcast. If you liked this podcast, please share with your friends and family, and please subscribe. To find out more about Snowbrains, please visit us at snowbrains.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Snowbrains. This episode of the Snowbrains podcast was brought to you by Alta Ski Area. The editing of this episode was done by Robert Wilkinson. The music was created by Chad Crouch. I'm your host, producer, and creator, Miles Clark. Thank you for listening.